about me is similar to the one that you were told, meaning growing up in America, what they told me was you need to go to school, get good grades so that you could go to college, get a degree, get good jobs with benefits, and that will help you be happy, healthy, wealthy, and successful. How many of you were told something like that?
Something like that.
Yes.
How many of you did something like that and found that that didn't produce the result that was promised?
That's
okay,
right.
good. I feel relieved because it's not just you and it's not just me, because I did those things. I went to school. I got good grades. As a matter of fact, from my 8th grade to senior year, I didn't get any grade below a 93. Now, Chantel, you went to Frederick Douglass High School, also known as
Doug.
and at Doug, when we made those kind of grades, what did people call us?
Nerd and bookworm.
All of it. But the last day called me the valedictorian. They called me that ever since. And that left me with the confidence that when I left Doug, I learned everything that the Atlanta public school system intended to teach me. And guess what? It wasn't enough. I got an academic scholarship, went off to Duke University. I double majored, electrical engineering and computer science, because we were taught that technology was a wave of the future. And that's true. But what I wasn't taught was how money and technology would work together in the future. Can anybody relate to that?
Yes.
Meaning when I was in high school and they were talking about careers, they said, if you get in this career and you do it well, you'll get into the 6 figures. Well, guess what they didn't say? Was that the value of 6 figures was going down rapidly. So I got from my college career into my first job, got to the place where I was making the income that they said I would make, but feeling just broke on a higher broke level. Meaning, how many of you have ever gotten a raise, but it's difficult to tell?
Yeah.
Is it just me?
Yeah.
Meaning you get a check and it's already spent before you get to the next paycheck. We call that check to check, yes?
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever been in that unfortunate position where you spent this check and that one, you don't have to raise your hands, but raise your eyebrows if you know what I mean when I say check behind the check. So in our frustration, because as my wife and I built our family, started working towards those dreams and that happily ever after, we were trying to figure out how we were going to get ahead if we were struggling to keep up. So what I found was it wasn't so much how much I was making, but how I was making my money that put me on the rat race, in that wheel where ongoing, I was going to have to work, keep working, keep making more until I died. How many of you believe that you were put here on earth to do more than work, pay bills, and die?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So I started looking intentionally. Everybody write that down, intentionally. I started intentionally looking for financial education and financial educators. And one of the first I ran into that really gave me some knowledge when it comes to financial education was a man named Robert Kiyosaki. How many of you have heard of Robert Kiyosaki and his books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the Cashflow Quadrant?
Yes.
Now, here's what I found with my financial education. I learned a lot from a book. Anybody say you can learn a lot from a book?
You learn a lot.
So as I share my screen, let's start from right here. Let's start from right here on this slide, because here's the first thing that I understood. He said that there's 4 quadrants of making money in America. You got employees, self-employed people, business owners, and investors. Employees, self-employed, business owners, and investors. And he said, on the left-hand side of the quadrant, you are fully responsible for your income. Meaning, as an employee, my source of income was what? My job.
That's right.
And if that job ever fell apart or I lost it, I lost my income at the same time. When you're self-employed, you own a job. Meaning, how many of you know somebody that runs a really good, successful business, but sometimes it seems like the business runs them?
Yes.
You know, our father, rest in peace, that man was the hardest working man in America. And he taught us when we were growing up, he said, people that work for somebody else, they work from 9 to 5. But when you work for yourself, you work from 5 to 9. And that's what he did. He worked hard, had a lot of success, but also had little time on his hands. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But what Robert Kiyosaki talked about was the right side of the cash flow quadrant, where in the B quadrant, You own a business. You own a system that works for you and creates leverage so that you are no longer the only source of your income. And in the I quadrant, you got the investor where you got money at work for you. And he said, if you ever want to get to the place where you are not solely responsible for your income, somehow you have to move from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side of the cash flow quadrant. Now that was good information, but how many of you have read a book and said, now, how do I do that?
Right.
Because I already said, I'm working full-time on my job. When can I find time on the side to work on my fortune? And I was fortunate to find somebody to take me beyond book education to practical education. And that's what I want to share today. 2 simple formulas from going from what's in your mind to what you can put into effect in your lives if anybody's interested in making that journey. So let's talk about it. Matter of fact, let's jump in. So all of you that have the document that I sent, I want you to make sure that you have that in your hand so that you can write on it so that you know when it comes to cash flow. And when we talk about cash flow, let me be specific. I want you to understand the flow of money in our lives is what's called cash flow. And what we focus on in our movement, the extra digit movement, is educating people on expanding their cash flow. Now, Tequila, it turns out when you and I met, we were under the same misconception that income and cash flow were the same thing. Yes or yes?
Yes.
But turns out they're not. Income is a measure of money. It's how much money comes in.
Right.
Cash flow is a measure of time. Cash flow and wealth, by the way, are both measures of time. Cash flow is how long your money stays with you once it comes in. So if you got $1 million income, that's a sky high income, yes?
Yes.
But if your bills are $2 million, your cash flows half a period short. You still high income broke. But at the same time, if you got a $80,000 income and your bills are $40,000, your cash flows 2 periods before you need it to do anything else. And that's when you have enough money to put to work. So the first thing that we're going to focus on is getting your money back so that it can go to work for you. Because here's the patterns. When we talk about cash flow, it's only 3 cash flow patterns in the whole world. Everybody say 3. 3, meaning when the income goes in and expenses go out. On the left is what he calls the expense pattern of the poor. Now, I didn't make this up. You can see right there, it says Rich Dad. That's Robert Kiyosaki's first book. He says, if you are poor or have a poor cash flow pattern, your income comes in from your job and all of it goes out the door through expenses so that there's little or nothing left. In the middle, this is why there's such a big middle class in America. He says you got a job, but because you have a job, you were taught to buy things on time, so you have some liabilities. What am I talking about when I say liabilities? Things that take money out your pocket. How many of you got a mortgage, a car note,
right,
student loans, credit card? All that takes the money out the door. And on the right, this is what he calls the cash flow pattern of the wealthy. Notice this thing down here on the bottom called assets. Wealthy people have money, making money that produces their income and supports their lifestyle. And the simple definition for wealth that we're going to use today is when your money, your investments make enough money to support your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be even $1 million. By definition, you're wealthy. We good with that?
yes,
Yes.
So how do we get wealthy? Well, first we got to make the shift. Everybody say shift.
yeah,
You got to make the shift. You got to change some things around and understand where our money's going, because as it goes through, I'll outline the things that I'm going to do today, and it's going to be a short conversation. So understand, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to count down. We're going to blow it up and we're going to leave. Does that make sense? So on your sheet, if you're taking notes from home, we got 4 financial challenges. I'm going to address those. We have 3 proven solutions to those 4 challenges. We're going to talk about the 2 financial objectives that everybody has to make to create financial success in America. And then the last thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about a company and leave a simple choice to the people out there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, here's the good news. We've quantified why most people struggle. And what's amazing, Tequila and Edna, is how many people don't understand the 4 challenges when it comes to money in America. So if you think about the 4 things that we face, what do you think are the top, what's the number one challenge that most people don't even see coming?
Inflation.
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 Inflation is the one they don't see. See, most
Right.
people do get a look at what happens with their tax situation,
Mhm.
but inflation is what we call the silent killer. And what it simply means is that the value of our dollars is going down 4% per year every year. And all you got to do is think in your head of something that you like and remember what it cost 18 years ago. How many of you remember when you could go put a quarter in a vending machine and get out a Coca-Cola?
Nice.
Yes.
How much does a Coca-Cola cost now?
$2.50.
$2.50 for the same Coke. And here's the reality. It's not that it costs them any more to make a Coca-Cola, but because everything is going up, Coke got a raise too. Milk, bread, eggs, everything gets a raise. The challenge is most of us can't control our income to make it go up when prices go up. But then you put inflation together with, was it Tequila? Was it you that said taxes?
Yes.
Tell them why taxes is such a big deal and
Yes.
why we call it the Chainsaw Massacre.
Right, because taxes take 1/3 of your income.
One
So,
third up
mhm,
front.
up front. Your net, when you get your check, that net and that gross is definitely different. You definitely grossed out, trust me. Been there,
That's
done that. And
So, and just take this down in your notes. So first third of your check goes to pre-income taxes, but then every dollar you spend after those taxes come through the door gets taxed.
Right.
Because we got sales
Yes.
tax, state tax, luxury tax. You know, when you die, there's a state tax.
Right.
Yes.
They
Yes.
still trying to tax your loved ones if you had anything left.
Dang, right.
But
Sad.
then you put those two things together, inflation plus taxes, that causes debt. And for the average American, like we talked about in the cash flow pattern, because we don't have the money and the money that we have isn't worth what it was supposed to be, we find ourselves in a position where we rack up debt, paying things on time with the hope that we'll live long enough to catch up to being able to afford it. And that's why we call it the family curse, because, you know, they say a sin is something that you do. How many of you done some sinning? No, don't raise your hand. Just put your eyebrows up.
I like that, Chuck.
But just understand, just this idea that 1/3 of our income actually goes to penalty, meaning interest is the penalty we pay for buying things ahead of the time that we can afford.
Right.
Meaning if you buy a $300,000 house with a standard mortgage, you know you pay close to $1 million for it.
Yes.
So that's the second third. So already we've lost 2/3 of our income to taxes and debt. And then the last thing that we fall in the trap of is we were brought up in a capitalist culture. I call it big business. Everybody say big business.
Big
Business.
It's the money trap, meaning we were brought into a capitalist society, but taught to be capital and be capitalized on by the calendar. What do I talk about with the capitalist calendar? How many of you know it's Halloween coming up this October, right?
Yes.
And in 2020, we've been wearing masks all year, but it's still going to be billions of dollars made when it comes to Halloween. Yes.
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 And then the next month, they're going to hit us over the head again. What comes in November?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Now, what's wrong? It's nothing wrong with Thanksgiving, but what else did they put around it?
Oh, they Black Friday.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Y'all seen
Brown Thursday.
Have y'all seen this Brown Thursday? Like people having Thanksgiving brunch. You got turkey and eggs because you got to get out and get in line and get. But here's what happens. In December, you got Christmas. In January, there's New Year's. February, there's Valentine's. March, you got spring break and St. Patrick's Day. 2 times to turn up because the weather got good.
Right.
April, you got Easter. May, you got Mother's Day. June, you got Father's Day. July, there's 4th of July. August, you got back to school. In September, you have Labor Day.
Labor Day.
And we're back around again to October, and we got tricked because there is no treat in having your money shifted from you every 30 days like you Pavlov's dog. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So here's the exciting thing. We have a solution. We have solution, and it's called income shifting. So if you want to shift quadrants, if you want to go from being an employee where all of your money is dependent on you being dependent on someone else to being a business owner and investor, you have to make the shift. And we have a proven system to help with the process. It's called income shifting. So if you're writing in your notes, jot that down, income shifting. 3 components in the income shifting strategy. The first thing we got to do is get your cash flow up. So that first thing we do is cash flow management. Second thing we got to do if you're going to move quadrants, you got to start changing the source of some of your income to business income. Yes?
Yes.
And then the third thing, taking all the income and the improved cash flow, we've got to make more than enough money for our needs right now so that we have enough to set aside to make money for later. Because you understand, investments start to lose value when you sacrifice them. Does that make sense? So cash flow management, business income, and investment income. And the great thing about how this system works is you do each part of the process concurrently, not consecutively. And I know people say, now, Richard, there you go with the big words. What do I mean? You do them at the same time. At the same blank time. That was what was in my head. I didn't cuss, you did. But here's how this all works together. Because the first thing you got to understand about America is that what matters more than how much money you make, how you make your money. Why am I saying that? Because if you have a job, write this down. Your source of income is the highest tax commodity in America, and it always has been. If you're my complexion, there was a time where you didn't get paid for the work you did. Come on now. Let me get back over here. So here's how it works. If you got a W-2, you're taxed 28 to 33% up front. If you got a business, 18 to 23% tax. And if you're an investor, you get taxed less than 15%. But what's even more important is how the tax is applied. Because I don't think most people really think about this, Chantel. Do you know that when you work, you're taxed first, and then you get to spend what's last? So that's the formula. I'm worked, I'm taxed, and I get to spend what's left. But do you know that most employers pay the IRS the exact same amount of money that we pay? So we pay 1/3, and our employer pays 1/3. The IRS got 2/3. Did you see that?
Yes, they slick.
Crazy. But then, and so even when we apply for the refund, check this out. They get to keep the money the employer sent. They're only sending us back what we put in. Come on now. Second, business. This is how business works. Business works, they spend, and they get taxed on what's left. That's why if you have a high income, a home business is probably the best asset you can add to your portfolio any year of your life. And then the last is money. Money goes to work, money gets reinvested, and then the money makes more money. Y'all want to have some fun with money and taxes?
Yeah.
Check this out. Let's say for the sake of this conversation, Chantel, Tequila, and Edna, since they're the ones I see on the screen, are an employee, a business owner, and an investor. Now, Chantel, congratulations. You went to work, you worked hard at the gig, they paid you $100,000. Matter of fact, all of you made $100,000 this year. Now, check this out. Chantel, if you make 6 figures, how do you know they're gonna work you for 6 figures plus, right?
All of it, to the bone.
So here's what happens. You get taxed 33%, you get to take home $67,000.
Yes.
Now, Tequila, because you're a business owner, you generated $100,000 in your business. Generated $100,000 in your business. But because you're a business owner, you get to write off a significant portion of your lifestyle. Let's say that your expenses came up to $80,000.
Okay.
Now, that might include your internet, your cell phone, your TV, your security system, your miles, and your meals. That came up to $80,000. You pay taxes on what's left. You pay 20% of $20,000. So you pay $4,000 in taxes, where Chantel paid $33,000.
That's a sweet deal.
Wow.
I mean, and by the way, y'all, I mean, all you got to do is look at the news. Like, there's a lot of uproar right now about how Amazon didn't pay any taxes until 2018, or how Donald Trump paid less taxes than all of us. They own a business. They just know the system. I'm just teaching you what they know. Make sense? And then the third category, we got Edna over here. Now, Edna had her money make her $100,000. Now, that means that she did not get up and go to work hard at in her job like Chantel, or in her business like Tequila. She woke up right about the crack of noon.
Yeah.
She prayed and meditated, reviewed her stock purchases for the day. And she got the money, kept making money until she sacrificed the investment. When does she sacrifice the investment? whenever or never. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
So we just got to get into that mindset that first, if we shift our minds, then we shift a portion of our income and continue the process of moving from one place to the other, we can win this game. So let's talk about cash flow management, because here's where most people have an opportunity to have some help. They've been doing the best they can do with what they know by themselves. How many of you have done the best that you can do with your money by yourselves up until now?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to get together a team of experts to help you through the process of minimizing taxes, minimizing debt, minimizing expenses, and increasing credit scores, which we have found also helps to further lower expenses. But one of the things that we've also learned, one of the smartest things I ever found was that rich people, smart people, get experts to help them with things. How many of you know that some things is just not your anointing?
Right.
So I want you to write these words down in your mind: money, credit, equity, and wealth. Money, credit, equity, and wealth. That's what fills out the Financial Edge membership that I'm going to go to. Now I'm going to take a minute before I jump into talking about the Financial Edge membership and our unique partnership, just to make sure there's no questions on what we covered first in our first portion of conversation when it comes to the 4 challenges that we face when it comes to money. Any questions?
We all good.
All good. So here's what I want you to understand. If you're going to make the shift, it's almost always better to do something with assistance. Yes or yes? So
Yes.
what we provide when it comes to Make Wealth Real Financial is a team of financial experts and a system to educate us on how to most effectively put the experts to work to help us in our shift. Does that make sense? So
Yes,
there's
it does.
3 categories of people. Let me make sure that you see them on the screen so that you understand your role. Because I know a lot of people are looking at this. How am I build a business income? I haven't started a business yet. Don't worry. Hold on. We're going to talk about how that can work for you later on. But just understand, MWR, that stands for Make Wealth Real Financial. Write that in your notes. Make Wealth Real Financial, meaning we're going to go through a process to practically make wealth real for you in your terms, in your time. They got a team of experts that execute on the strategies that most of us did not have the education and expertise to do. Now, here's a good thing. That means I'm not the expert. Everybody tap yourself on the chest. Say, I'm not the expert.
I'm not the expert.
At the end of this conversation, it is not my goal for you to be a financial advisor, a tax specialist, a credit restoration specialist, or a debt eliminator. I want you to be able to have a team to help put together a game plan that you can run. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As the Extra Digit movement, we have chosen the awesome responsibility of educating people on how to add 1 digit to the front of their net worth. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And then the last category is you expose. When you're new, when you're learning this business, your job is simply to expose. I expose you. And here's what exposing looks like. I want you to look at everybody on the line. If they're not me, what is that person doing right now? Look at them now.
Watching you.
Nothing, chilling. Edna over there still thinking about how her $1 million made $100,000 while she was sleeping in.
Yes.
But they're learning a process and a conversation so that when this turns around, once they do it right, they'll be in a position to educate others, because this is all about each one teach one. We're not done. Nobody's done in this till we're all done. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Yes.
So here we go. So now that we are exposing, well, what do we share with people? So here's what I want people to understand. When you get started, when you get started, I want you to understand that everybody needs an edge. The Financial Edge membership is what we provide. $228 one time up front, $119 per month. That's less than $4 a day. Now, what does it entitle you to? A set of experts to help with the places where most people struggle, meaning tax reduction strategies, credit restoration strategies, debt elimination strategies, and wealth generation strategies. Now, I'm going to fly through the examples on the slides because there's just too many good people on this line that have experienced a part of the breakthrough. But here's what I want people to know out there that are looking to check the facts. We are 1 year in field operations, but in that 1 year, we have changed some people's lives. Isn't that right, Tequila?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you think about this, Chantel, Money Max we're already helping people shift $5 million on a monthly basis back to their houses from the IRS. That's $60 million a year. We've helped people raise their credit scores an average of 50 to 150 points and more. There are people on this line that have seen more than that. And with Equity Max, we help people eliminate $500,000. I mean, not $500,000, $500 million. Everybody say billion, B.
Billion. Look
And
at
you know how you make that real in your mind? You write down a 1 and you write 9 consecutive zeros and 3 commas in between there. Let's go. And then the last thing is Wealth Max. We have helped already people save and invest 25 million, and the 25 million has already made 5 million.
That's awesome.
That's winning. And that's people experiencing the shift. And when you get started, you'll get a portal just like this. And you go in, and most of the things start off with you just uploading documents that you already have. Meaning with Money Max, that's the first area we have to go to work. If we know that taxes take so much away, and write this in your notes, there's no job in America that's designed to make you wealthy. Do you know that even NFL and NBA players that can get these multi-million-dollar contracts have a time where their career and their income will end?
Right.
Yeah.
And they get higher taxes than us. But here's what we do. We go in and make an adjustment to a document called your W-4. The IRS already said that more than 80% of Americans in the United States have the W-4 filled out incorrectly. And trust me, I'm not saying you didn't put a 0 and a 1 in all the places where they said put a 0 and a 1.
Yeah.
Is that putting zeros and ones in those places lets them make sure that you overpay, so that they get to process a refund later. Now, means again, fund is your money, is money. How many of you don't want your money again? You just want your money now.
Yeah.
Right.
I can do more with it. I work for it. So this is what we do. We find people like Ursula here, who was able to get from $1,100 in her taxes down to $325. That's an $800 pay raise from her job. But rather than talking about people who are on these slides, who has a Money Max testimony that they can share about what the first strategy in Money Max did for them?
Rich, I got you on one.
All right. Hey, Bernard, good to see you, brother.
You as well, King, doing a great job on this conversation tonight. But simply, I just uploaded my last 2 pay stubs back in January and my most current tax return. And I was able to bring back in 2 weeks after that, 166. But I get paid bi-weekly, so that's an average about $324 every single month. I've been able to shift back out of that $5 million a month that you talked about every single month since February.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Now that's awesome. How many of you heard this? So that's 324. Who else experienced a pay raise from their job using our Money Max system?
Richard, I got
Shayna. Did I say it right? Shayna. How do you pronounce it?
Shayna.
Shayna. I thought so.
Yes. Well, it's new for me, but you guys, I did the exact same thing. I uploaded 2 check stubs and my tax return, and I got my W-4 paper today. And I was off from work today, y'all, but I want my money so bad. I went to my job today and handled my paper. So I'm looking for next week, pay week, so I can get my money. Yes.
You gonna go to work on your day off, Craig?
Yes, just to drop off that paperwork. Yes.
Friday, Junior.
Hey, turn that in. I'm with you. I'm with you. Don't process any more checks with the incorrect part in it. Give me my money. Give me my money. Give me my money. Anybody else?
Nice.
All right, going once, going twice. So just imagine those 2 examples. Shayna still not yet having her number. Bernard already getting an additional $300. And here's the exciting thing. That's only the first part of what Money Max does, because even more powerful than what you make is what you get to keep, because now you get access to 475 tax deductions as a home business owner. So imagine this. If you're an employee, job's only source of money, you have access to 9. Business owner, 475, but you also get an assistant to help track them. Because I'm going to tell y'all my God's honest truth. I'm good with numbers, but I'm terrible at accounting. How many of you just do not do a good job of tracking your miles? See, there's Bernard. He's actually using the app today. That's the tax bot. It's a second strategy from Money Max that allows us to understand and apply the main requirement for home business owners is documentation and receipts. Now, what do you have right now in deduction so far this year, Bernard?
I haven't added any of my any of my credit cards or my debit cards yet, and because I drive so much and the things that I do, everything is a business trip versus just some personal round away. I'm at $6,400 right now, and that's just in a few months of just tracking all the miles that I drive. And I still got to pay
Wow.
the classified, Rich.
And by the way, think about this now in two categories. Number one, mileage for many home business owners is the highest deduction category available, but is also most likely to be audited and least likely to be documented. But now TaxBot's doing the hard part for them. Take a picture of the receipts, take a picture of the miles, and keep it moving. And as your business goes through the year, especially in the kind of business we do, because some people say, well, I already have a home-based business. The wonderful thing about an education business is it can go everywhere and do everything. Like if I had a home-based lawn care business, I can't just decide that I'm going to go to Conyers, Georgia and have tacos and margaritas with business associates and say that's a business expense, can I? But I can go right out there and tell somebody about income shift and go back to my tasty beverage, and that is all tax deductible. You got to have not just a home business, you got to have the right kind of business. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so jumping in and speeding through the rest of money, because once we get the big bear off of our back, meaning we got taxes under control and are getting the maximum money from our current job, the very most important thing we can do next is to make sure that we get that credit score up. Because credit dictates how much we pay for money. Yes or yes?
Yes.
How many of you found yourselves in some situations where you had done some things that had slightly dinged, damaged, or damned your credit, and you didn't even know you'd done it?
Yes.
It's real. It starts out with mistakes, and we usually don't have any professional help getting them back to where they should or could be. But with Credit Max, we got a team of experts that do things like they did for this young lady, where she was at a 356, got her up to a 763 over a 3-month period. And the beautiful thing isn't just the number, is what the number allowed them to break as a family curse. Because she is the first of her granddaddy's grandchildren to buy a car without granddaddy as a cosigner. How many of you know some families where you got to go to 2 generations back to find somebody with good credit?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Maybe
And,
more.
and I'm not just saying this for people with bad credit. I mean, Jessica and her husband, they both got 132 point plus increases on the same membership, because the Financial Edge does cover that married covenant. We want families to build together. We want couples to get their money right together. You know, how many of you know, hey, if we get the credit together, you need to get your credit together too, baby.
Yes,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And then there's my brother over there bragging differently with an 800 credit score. You know, there was a time where he and I both thought that black people could not have 800 credit scores. But once he had one, and I talked to the same people, they got me up to 810 with the plan to get to 848. How many of you know 850 is as high as it can go?
Yes.
And I know that now because I know Bert and Melissa. Bert got from 834 to 845, had creditors chasing him, and Melissa, we call her Miss Purpose. You got an 850. And it's not just Bert and Melissa. There are people on this call. I'm going to leave some time for them to share later just how much they had increases in their scores, but I do want to make time for the rest of our conversation. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now with Equity Max, here's our commitment. If you understood me and understood why I'm this excited every evening, is because I wake up every day thinking, how quickly can I generate 1,000 debt-free millionaires? How quickly can I build a circle of people around me that owe nobody but own $1 million liquid? And that's what Equity Max allows us to do. Because write this in your notes. Debt-free is the new free.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter how much water you put in the top of the bucket. If it's leaking out the bottom through expenses and interest, you'll never win. And think about this. Our creditors have a plan for us. That plan to pay as much for as long. Because in the Bible, they say the debtor is slave to the lender. Yes or yes?
Yes.
And here's the sad thing. Someone like Charlotte, in her case, the creditor's plan was for her to be paying this debt for 111 years. Equity Max took a look at it, made an assessment and analysis, put together a plan to get her out in 2 years and 6 months. And more important, to save $500,000. Or look at the joy and relief on the face of the wealth gossiper, Tequila,
Right.
because they took her from 13 years down to 3 years. Tequila, what was it like for you to realize that what your creditors had planned for you, you could do better with just the money you had and have somebody put it together?
It was awesome. At first, I felt like I was set up because, going throughout the years, you always want to have a plan to get out of debt, but nobody tells you or shows you exactly how to get out of debt. So I'm so grateful for our Financial Edge membership. Definitely grateful. The process was definitely easy.
And we thank you for sharing the testimony. And the best thing about the Equity Max plan as you use it is it gets better as you go. Meaning my friend Trevor here, he paid off his debt last month, but they kept the money in play to accelerate his debt plan to where he'd be have on his calendar the month and date where he'd be a millionaire investing that money versus saving. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I'm a product of the product too, and I'm not the only one. I'm just saying I got an edge and I put it to work so that I could get into a different situation. I was willing, I was excited, I was able to make the shift. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And then the next category we'll talk about right now, for now, and these are all in the category of cash flow management, meaning getting your cash to flow back to you so it can do some work for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Last thing we'll talk about is bill shredder. And what they simply do, they negotiate your bills down to an all-time low level. I have a bill. Check this out. It was $56. It auto-drafted from my account today because Bill Shredder negotiated that bill down to $15.
What?
Wow.
Nice.
And you know, and it's one of those things, I just sent them the bill, but they got me 75% off. How many of you would love somebody to talk to somebody for you and save you 75%?
Yes.
Right.
You're doing your job.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And it's any of those bills that's recurring, your cell phone, internet, TV, internet, all of those things. But that's the first shift, cash flow management. Any questions about cash flow management?
No.
Okay, so let's check in and see where we are in the process. Once we get some of your cash flowing back to you, we have a simple formula. It's cash, and you take some of the cash that you have and use it to buy, build, or grow an asset. Does that make sense?
Yes.
In this case, the asset that I'm recommending that you invest in, whether you decide to build actively or not, get an MWR franchise. Now, here's what I want people to know up front. I already talked about the initial investment to get started in business with us. What did I say?
$228.
$228. It's $228 per month to get started. $228 up front and $119 a month to get started in the business. It counts for 3 points. Not important for our conversation today, but just so that you know. But here's my goal, is for a brand new person to experience what we call momentum. Meaning momentum is what it takes for any object to stay in motion. I think the hardest part in any person's process is getting off the couch. How many of you know that inertia keeps us back where we are most of the time?
Speak, Rich.
Right.
But if we just get up and get moving with speed, our company is willing to compensate people that act quickly. Now, here are the things that happen with our momentum bonus. Say that you get started, this makes sense for you. Our goal is to get to the place where all of this is self-funding. Everybody say self-funding.
Monday.
Here's what, as a matter of fact, in your minds, write this down, but say this to yourself every day. It'll change the way that you wake up. I have a habit of making profitable investments. I have a habit of making profitable investments. And one of the smartest investments that we can make as a team and as a family is in getting paid differently. Meaning now we get the opportunity to go from being alone to now having a business system where we're no longer solely responsible for our income. How do you do that? You teach people and teach people how to build a team. Does that make sense? Company pays us 10 different ways.
Hey, boss.
I'm not going to talk about all 10. I'm going to talk about the first two, give you an example of what it looks like, and I'm going to move on to the last thing. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's think about how this looks. Let's look and apply this in real life and talk about first getting to the place where your business is self-funding. So as I go through, here's what I want you to understand. In our business, our goal is to produce profitable self-funding business. There's 3 ways that most people accomplish that initially. So your first success, here's what I want to set you up for. Use MoneyMax. That's our tax reduction strategy that helped Bernard get an extra $324 a month, helped Anthony get an extra $475 a month. Oh, I'm not sharing this with y'all, am I? I'm so selfish. Here you go. Y'all see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the second thing that we do is as we share the process, as we help people understand and get the edge for themselves, when we get to the place where we have 3 customers, now mind you, remember the investment. we're only having to cover $119 a month in overhead. So it's not a lot of money anyway, yes?
Yes.
But and once you identify 3 people, help them get the edge, they waive the cost of your membership. So you still get the experts. You just self-funded it. So now your cost of business goes down to $40. And then the third thing we do is my favorite, is we find 3 people. Say for the sake of this conversation, you found myself, Chantel Jones, and Edna Jarrett. Is it safe to say that we get started doing what you do with you?
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
we will. And it would generate for you an additional $150. Write this down in your notes. Passive, leveraged, non-wage income is the best way to make money that there is, because now you're no longer personally fully responsible for your business. The second thing we do is we do that faster with the people that come together. So think about this. In a momentum bonus, I want to get into all that you got to do to make it happen. Just understand, we have helped people like Chantel Jones, Chantel, what day are you on? Is this you are not 30 days in business yet. 17?
No, not 30 days.
So she got started 2 weeks ago, got promoted to executive director in her second week in business, and is about to sponsor somebody who's going to get promoted faster than her. And then in 60 days, you do that, you help those people get there fast. Another $450. And then the last category in momentum is $900. And these are bonuses in addition to a very awesome comp plan, because it has other factors to it, like a car bonus, like an expense allowance. How many of you would love the idea of having an expense allowance from work?
Yes.
So rather than me trying to go through a whole detailed explanation of the comp plan, let me show you how I track it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So when you get started in the business, they're going to give you a dashboard. It's going to look something like this. Now, everybody's in the business. How many of you have a dashboard?
Yes.
Yes.
What it shows you is where you are, what you've done, and what you need to do, who you need to help to get to the next level. Now, the first thing that most people talk about is our daily guarantee. We have daily guaranteed pay in our company, anywhere from $5 a day to $1,000 a day. Now, this shows you that I am at star level 4. We tap in to find out what that means. Level 4 means I'm $50 a day right now, 96% of the way to being at $100 a day. Now, I'm not saying you have to quit your job, but how many of you could use an extra $1,500 to $3,000 per day in passive income?
Yes.
Make sense? Then we get a
Yes.
car allowance bonus. Right now, we happen to be qualified at the luxury vehicle level tier 1, but 71% of the way to tier 2. So $500 a month now. How many of you know $500 a month can take care of your car note? Yes?
Yes.
But $1,250 can take care of something else and your car note.
Correct.
Yes.
Already at presidential 500 tier 1, and I'm not even the fastest business builder in this team. I'm just saying right now, it tells you what you need to do, who you need to help to go to the next step. Does that make sense? So for those of you that were taking score at home on your sheet, we talked about the momentum bonus, $150 to $900. Leadership bonus is anywhere from 10 to 75. The tiers of the car luxury bonus, 500, 1250, 3,000 a month. How much do you need? Because there's no, these are 2 things you got to internalize. You cannot limit another person's excitement, and there's no limit to how many people you can help. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
Presidential bonus, anywhere from $500 to $100,000 a month, and a daily guarantee anywhere from $5,000 to $1,000 a day. Now, I say those things about our business income up front because I know that for 2 people to fully shift from the employee quadrant to the business and investment quadrant, something has to replace that job income. So whether you're looking for extra income, a replacement income, or an exceptional income, it's all about how many people you build, who you help, not what you do, but what you start. Am I making sense?
Yes.
So the last thing I'm going to talk about is investment income. And I'm only going to talk about 2 categories today. There are a number of things that you can invest in. Write this down. When you have more than enough money to take care of today. How many of you found yourself in a place where you know you want to invest, but you're barely keeping up with what you're already making? Now that we've shifted some, given you some margin, now that we've given you an additional leverage, guaranteed income, now you can invest in things like private reserve banking, or land banking. And believe you me, the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Now, I know some people are out there looking at the slide saying, well, I'm not familiar with that concept. I never heard of land banking. Well, don't worry. I had not heard of land banking either. That does not mean that wealthy people weren't doing it before we heard of it. Yes?
Yes.
Because here's our reality. I want you to think about investment reality. And what you got to understand is most of us were taught to be someone else's investment. Meaning, how many of you? Huh? You can't see them? Hang on. I'm not sharing again. Am I being stingy? One more time.
Yes, you've been stingy.
I apologize. I'm so mean. That's just wrong of me, isn't it?
You didn't mean it. You didn't mean it. I knew it.
So here's what we'll do. We'll talk about Wealth Max and a couple of key concepts that our business allows us to have access to. I'll share some things and I'll introduce you to somebody and then we're done. Meaning with Wealth Max, get access to the private reserve account, which lets you be your own bank. Everybody write in your notes, be your own bank.
Be your own bank.
Now imagine this. What if you had an investment that you could invest in that rather than doing what a traditional bank does with our money, lets you grow your money at the rate of the stock market without the hit of the stock market? Mm-hmm. Meaning if you're my age and you've been in your 401k your whole career, how many of you had several years where you really should have just thrown away the statements? just don't even look at it. With the private reserve account, it goes up when the market goes up, but when the market drops, it stays level, and we get to lock in rates. This year, a private reserve account's averaging 12 to 14% a year. Compare that to any of the banks with the biggest building in your city. That's 1,000 times more return on your investment.
Wow.
Right? Money at regular bank rates, it doubles every 100 years. In the private reserve account, doubles every 6 to 8 years. That's money making money, y'all. And then, just like a bank, when you own the bank, would you loan you money?
Yes.
Would you give you good terms?
Yes. Of course.
Yes. Private reserve account allows you to do that, with no tax penalty. Because any of you that have ever been in the unfortunate position where you needed to touch some of the money in your 401k before you were of age, did they tax you like that was not your money?
Yes.
So, and then the second thing we talk about land banking, and again, it's a profitable, accelerated rate investment in land in the path of growth. Write that down. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Because here's what happens with land banking. We got a team of experts that puts us in locations where growth is not only happening, it's predictable for explosion because of shortage. Antelope Valley, California, Green Energy Valley, you got our neighbors, Warren Buffett, NASA, Kaiser Permanente, LA hosting the Olympics in 8 years, 2028, and the first freeway built in LA County in 25 years. It's major explosive growth, and we just happen to be in a position to buy wholesale, acquire the deed, and sell the land resale. And I'm not talking about just the theoretical things that people can do. This is me in this office with that certificate right there.
Yes.
Right now.
And so here's the thing that we want to know. So if we think through our process of everything that we've seen so far today, because we've gone through cash flow management, building a business income, and creating investment income, yes?
Yes.
And here's the secret. If you're going to shift quadrants, you got to understand it with Wealth Max. If you're not investing, you're not even on the road to wealth. So last thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to let my brother close out with the 2 financial objectives that everybody has when it comes to money and the reality of what we've shared on tonight's conversation. Because if you think about it, this is my actual younger brother. I'm going to tell people up front, Chuck is younger than me.
Yes, significantly
Chuck
younger.
has grown man money in this industry. Chuck has been teaching the income shifting process for years. But more importantly, when he made the suggestion that we partner with Making Wealth Real Financial, he put that process on turbo. Already one of the top income earners in the company, but most important, one of the people with the biggest heart for helping people win. And the best thing is it's hard to be around him and not have a good time. Does that sound like somebody y'all want to hear from?
Yes.
Well, you just wait right here. I'm gonna go get my brother. Hey, Chuck, would you like to share anything with us on finishing out?
Hey, well, first off, you did an amazing job breaking down what we actually do. You know, Robert Kiyosaki's four quadrants is an amazing concept. But what most people don't know is, how do I get from one side to the other? I already got life going on. I got family. I got kids. I got job responsibilities, church responsibilities. I don't know how to go from here to here. But what income shifting does is gives anyone a game plan on how to do that. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter, whether you make $10 an hour or $100,000 a year, you can work the income shifting strategy and still make that happen. And the way you laid that out and put it all together, it was an amazing thing. So congratulations on your success and your new promotion. But more importantly, man, on how many people you're able to help in that process. So thank you very much for hosting the call for us this evening.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm going to finish it out. And I don't know why I handed to me, because he did such an amazing job of laying out what we had. Let's just be all the way transparent, right? Because there are two objectives that we all are shooting for. Because there's a lot of us on the line right now. All of us have different backgrounds, different occupations, different goals, and different dreams. But at the end of the day, we all want to be successful financially, right? If that's you,
Right.
at the end of the day, you want to be successful financially, give me a thumbs up, right? So that means we know we're put here to do more than just work, pay bills, and die. So what we're
Right.
doing right now is taking care of objective number one, because objective number one is to create and maintain a lifestyle. And your income does that, right? How you live, where you live, whether you have a big lifestyle or a small lifestyle, your income takes care of that. But at the exact same time, we have to plan for our future lifestyle. And the only thing that can take care of you in the future are your investments. You have to be in a position where you're not working for money, but you got money working for you. Now, this is what I know. Everyone knows they should invest. Everybody knows that. But there are two problems with that. One, they don't think they have the money to do it. And two, they don't understand it. We handle both of those objectives. One, we're going to show you where to get the cash flow, which we just went through our Financial Edge membership. And two, we're going to educate you on how the private reserve account works, how land banking works, to put you in the game. So you're able to play the game at that level, not just where you are with experts to help you out. And it's only one company that offers the Financial Edge membership, and that's MWR Financial. I'm gonna let you know, you have a lot of people or a lot of companies out there that fix credit, but that's all they do. You have a lot of CPAs out there that can help you when it comes to becoming more tax efficient. Now you gotta pay them $120 an hour, but they'll help you, right? But that's all they do. You have some companies that can be your financial advisors, but that's all they do. MWR is the whole concept put together in a membership that anybody can afford, all right? So if you're looking at this and you say, look, this make a whole lot of sense, but is there a way, what can I do and just use the membership? I want to say yes, there is a way to just use the membership. The membership itself is only $79 to get started and $79 a month to maintain. So if you want to take advantage of Money Max, which got Mr. I think Anthony Clemens did his testimony, $475 increase on his paycheck. If you want to take advantage of Credit Max, they got my brother into the 800 Club as well as myself, right? If you want to use Equity Max, we got Miss Tequila, her debt-free years of only 3 years instead of 13.
Oh, sorry.
Or if you want to use Wealth Max, right? All of that's available to you. And all you have to do is get with the person that put you on the line, shoot them a text with the number 2. They're going to send you a link so you go ahead and get your membership set up that tonight. That way you can start working on your credit tomorrow. And the $79 covers you and your spouse. Yes, so both of you guys get your credit fixed. Both of you guys get your W-4 adjustments. Y'all don't got to argue about little silly stuff like that. Okay? And then last, we got kind of like Miss Charlotte there, or Miss Chantel, kind of like Tequila, my big brother. Well, we understand that if we want to come up, we got to bring our community up with us. So we're looking at a whole lot of people have success in just better understanding the membership and understanding our capitalistic economy, where you can now learn how to capitalize instead of being capitalized on. So get back with the person that puts you on the line, shoot them a number 1. They're going to send you a link so you can go ahead and get your business started tonight. They will also facilitate a 3-way conversation with you and one of the leaders to be sure that you got a good game plan on how you're going to start your business. Because with this organization, you are in business for yourself, but you are not in business by yourself. We're a team. Not only we're a team, we are a movement of people. And it's a movement of wealth that we're creating. So if that's making sense to you, I look forward to working with you. I look forward to celebrating with you. And big bro, we can go ahead and close this thing out, man. Is there anything else you needed me to share? Because I'm on fire right now.
Man, the only thing, anybody that wants to continue the financial education tonight, keep in mind that our corporate financial edge specialists are doing a training this evening at 8:30 p.m. where they'll go into more detail about how to expand your cash flow and specifically how to use the membership to take you to the next level financially. And I just heard we're doing a detailed training on Saturday morning about how to get the most out of strategy number 2. So make sure, whatever category you're in, I don't care what money you have to invest today, invest in your knowledge. Learn more so that you can earn more. Training tonight on how to do the financials, training first thing Saturday morning on how to build your own big business. Get yourself out of the E&S quadrant into the BIE.
Yes.
Love it.
Outstanding. And I think that's all said and done, right?
That's it. So we're going to see you guys on the beaches of the world and see you at the bank, whichever one comes first.
Turn up.
Talk to y'all soon.
Right.
Peace up.
Peace out.
A-Town
down.
down.
Hey!
Yes.
Great job, King.